mares get noisy and the babies were good.
Oh.
they adjust fairly quick. Like I said, Dad's got a lot of yearlings in here. So born in May, June, like late May and then early June, and then usually in October. You go down to some of these horse sales, and you know these colts are okay and stuff. There's a couple bigger ones and stuff like that, but you go in and there's 20 colts standing in the pen next to you, sick and watery eyes and runny noses, and
yeah,
you know, and that's the quality over quantity thing for us and stuff.
Fillies and colts, or what? Yeah.
So the weanlings are all mixed sex, yeah. So fillies and colts, and all the other ones are fillies.
And over there we have the 2 young studs.
Yeah, there's the 2-year-old studs. The other blue roan is a stud too. He's just a yearling. And then 1 gelding. The bay roan is a gelding. We've had them where they look like the little blue stud wicks. They were there. He's still pretty slick. And
he just come from Texas.
In a roundabout way over the last year and a half, I guess, a year or so. He left there, Texas, probably as a late weaner, and then up into Colorado, and then we picked him up through Billings. And all these ones will come in the barn this year, and when it gets cold out, they'll stay in the barn.
Okay.
Get tie broke, trim their feet, give them some love.
Good conformation, good feet, built for our climate, and their temperament. What would you say about their temperament?
Their temperament is off the charts. They're babies. There's a lot going on about the Hancock horses and stuff like that, but like I say, you can see them. Like I'll let a 4-year-old walk around in there, and then with them, they just want to be friendly.
Jared, you were saying that this is about an 80-acre pen.
Yep.
And it's got some bush.
Yeah, this is mostly bush with some open areas with some grass in it.
So these 3 guys have been living together for a while, you said?
Yep, so they've been together for 12 years or so.
Okay. And do they primarily live in this pen?
Yeah, so this is where they'll get moved to when we pull them off the mares.
Okay.
So actually this is Goose's breeding area. He keeps his mares in here all summer. And then ID goes over here, and Cowboy he was on Ryan's other quarter. Once we pull them off the mares, we'll bring them all out here, and they can all get reacquainted for the winter.
Do you find he's more territory when these guys come back?
Not really, no. He's once his mares are gone, and you kind of have the routine now. The first few years, for sure, when they were younger,
yeah,
he was a little bit more. He would keep them off. He would keep these other stud horses away a little bit and stuff, and he would control the fence line in between the mares.
Okay.
After a couple days, then they just settle in together and stuff like that. But they still will. You'll know there's stud horses down here for sure once in a while. You'll see the pack mentality there. You'll see especially if somebody was to pick on him, if he's running the pen, then another one will join in. You can see they have some love marks on them for sure.
Yeah, I was going to ask. That was my next question, actually.
These are bites.
Yeah, they are marks, hey?
Definite, yeah.
Wow.
They'll come together, nose to tail a little bit, and then you'll see them, and they'll reach down and they sniff flanks and stuff, something that would really irritate the other one, and then they'll bite most likely.
Okay.
A little bit of kick.
I have to watch out for my geldings when they do that.
Yeah.
You see who thinks they're the big deal and who, right?
Sorting each other out.
Yeah, right. When they do get hurt, you find it's similar type injuries? Like, is it always like a leg injury, or is it mostly these body blows?
Like from each other?
Yeah,
it's this.
It's just picking on.
Absolutely, yeah. Like if you feel him all over, he's like, that's a fresh one and stuff. Yeah. There's one. Yeah. They pull each other's chunks out. They do like to get at each other's front legs a little bit and pull on each other. But when they're seriously fighting and stuff like that, you'll see them they'll clamp on, they'll grab. Yeah, you'll start to see it in that May and stuff like that. You'll start to see them. They'll start acting up a little bit, and they start traveling more. They'll start walking the fences, and then they start getting kind of territorial. Then they'll start separating a little bit. If one of the other studs, whoever's lower in the pecking order, goes and stands in a corner, if this horse wants in there, then he will get in there. Have to know each other from a young age. It makes it a lot easier on them and stuff. Like he was 12, but it takes a different temperament for them to be able to deal with this, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of hormones rolling through these pens.
So it's a little bit like elk, where they band up for certain times of the year, and then they kind of go and do their breeding, and then they kind of band up again?
Yeah, like when you're asking your questions, I was wondering, because as far as wild horses go, I don't think it works that way ever. Like I don't think like that, like a stud, like a stallion would never let another stallion into anywhere near, but I guess that's kind of a year-round thing, right? Like they live with their mares year-round. So
Wait, they have more responsibilities.
exactly.
These guys don't have those responsibilities.
Yeah, you don't have to look after mares. They just have to eat them right there.
Yeah, totally, 100%.
Yeah. We'll run a rope or a nylon halter for when they're in their working clothes, and then when they're in their breeding clothes, they do have breeding halters.
Okay.
So they will differentiate between a halter and stuff. So they know the jingle of a stud chain if there's one on the halter, and they'll meet you at the gate usually. I think you find if you treat them different, then they act different. If you treat them like horses, then they kind of act like horses, these guys.
Yeah. Breeding on this guy?
He's another Hancock horse. He's Hancock duplicate. He's a son of Hancock duplicate, so lots of rope horse blood in him.
So what qualities do you look for?
Feet, bone, legs, withers.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. They're covered in snow, but I get what you're looking at.
Yeah, so these big feet, like you'd trim them down, but if you can't, like, even this little guy probably just about wear a size 2 shoe for you. And
that's impressive for a quarter horse.
yeah, and
right?
it's like, these Hancock horses are quite a bit different than the mare side. The mare side's a little more performance bred.
How tall are these guys? 15?
Yeah, so about 15.3 on this guy. They stretch up, and we call ID 15.2 and 15 hands for
this guy
for the older guy. Yeah, he's shrinking a little.
Yeah, so do you find that with these guys, like breeding in this fashion, that you have a pretty good live foal?
Yeah, absolutely. Like you say, with the drought we had last year and stuff, we're not sure if that was it is. Like we've done some research on that, and it seems some of these mares, they don't cycle as quick and stuff like that, and they kind of fall into self-preservation mode, so they didn't stick. So we had a light year last year, but everything that was bred had a live foal. And breeding this way, we've had 100% success down. You could call it 95%.
Okay.
Right.
And straightforward birth. How many times do you have to go out there and actually
very, very few. Some of the young mares, the maiden mares, might need help a little bit here and there, which is another asset to the temperament on some of these horses and stuff like that. They'll let you help them and stuff, but some of the colts will get pretty big. People buy mares to ride and to use and to show and to do whatever, and then it becomes their pet, and they ride it until it's 15 or 16 and say its show career is over, or its riding career is getting to the end, or now it is a family pet, and they want to breed it, which was their goal of having a mare in the first place. So they bring it to somewhere to get bred, and it is impossible.